very fortunate to have His Grace Arjun Sakhā Dāsa Prabhuji on the topic of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata Adi Khanda 15.69 onwards. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, are you, is the Prabhuji present or? Yes. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for giving us your valuable time and association to us this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Chaitanya Bhagavata Adi Khanda. I now hand over the call to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Shri Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Shri Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanustute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadhi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Gurave Gaurachandraya Shri Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Ananda Leela Maya Vigrahaya Hemavadivya Chavisundaraya Tasmai Maha Prema Rasa Pradaya Shri Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Chaitanya Chandraya Namo Namaste. Nityananda Maham Navami Sarvananda Karam Param Harinama Pradam Devam Avadhuta Shiromani. Tavaivasmi na jivami tvaya bina iti vigyaya radhe tvam nayamam sharanantikam. Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai, Srimati Radha Rani ki jai. Thank you all dear devotees for very kindly joining in this regular discussions that the Bhakti Sangha has been having on the Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. I'm very happy to be back after quite some time. I was in Vrindavan, I was in India, and I think the last time I served a class on the Chaitanya Bhagavat was when chapter 6 or chapter 7 was going on. So very happy to be back amidst all the devotees. We are reading from the Adi Khanda, chapter 15, text 59 onwards. 59, and we read till text 68. Yena Krishna Rukminite Anyonya Uchita Semata Vishnupriya Nimaini Pandita. Translation by Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Vishnupriya and Nimai Pandit are as suitable match as Krishna and Rukmini were. Text 60. Shuni Vipra Patni Yadi Apta Varga Sahe Lahila Karite Yukti Dekhi Ke Ki Kahe. After hearing the proposal, Sanatan Mishra discussed it with his wife and relatives to find out their opinion. Text 61. Sabe bali lena ara ki karya vichare sarvathe e karma giya karahe satvare. Translation. They replied, what is the need for further discussion? You should immediately arrange the marriage. 62. Tabe Raja Pandita hai harshamati बलिलेन काशीनाथ पंडितेर प्रति. The Raj Pandit then happily spoke to Kashinath Pandit. विश्वांभर पंडितेर करे कन्यादान करीब सर्वथा विप्र इथे nahi आना. O Brahmana, I will certainly give my daughter in marriage to Vishwambar Pandit. भाग्य था के यदि सर्व वंशेर आमारा तबे है न सुसंबंध हईबे कन्यायारा. If my family is fortunate, then my daughter will be married to him. Next, 65. चला तुमी तथा ये कहा सर्व कथा आमी पुना ददाइनु करीब सर्वथा. So
Hare
please go
Krishna.
there.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm sorry to stop you, but I think it is from 69 onwards, right? So can you cover at least like one or two more extra verses?
Oh, is it from 69?
Yes, Prabhu. I'm sorry, I should have stopped you in the first verse, but I was curious I just checked all the messages and the posters and all. So I'm coming back to you.
Okay, no problem. We'll take from 69 onwards then.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Nonetheless, I'll just keep going.
Yeah, please go. And then we can cover more verses.
Sure. So please go there and inform them of my decision. I again confirm them that I have accepted the proposal. 66. Shuniya santoshe kashinatha mishrava sakala kahila si shachira gochara. Feeling satisfied, Kashinath Mishra returned to Mother Sachi and told her everything. 67. Kariya siddhi shuniyai santosha haila sakala udyoga tabe karite lagila. Mother Sachi was pleased to hear that her proposal was accepted and she began to make the necessary arrangements. 68. Prabhura vivashuni sarva shishya gana sabai haila ati paramanandamana. When the Lord's students heard news of his marriage arrangements, they were all filled with joy. That was a good recap. Now we start our discussion. Pratame balila buddhimanta mahashay Mora hare ei viva yata lage bhyabhai. Buddhimanta Khan was first to speak. I will bear the entire expenditure of this marriage. Commentary by Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Buddhimanta Khan was the Lord's neighbor and a staunch, rich, devoted Brahmana follower of the Lord. A description of Buddhimanta Khan is found in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela text, chapter 10, text 74 as follows. The 36th branch, Buddhimanta Khan, was extremely dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was always prepared to carry out the Lord's order, and therefore he was considered a chief servant of the Lord. One should also refer to Adi Khanda, chapter 12, verse 72. When the Lord married for the second time with Vishnupriya Devi, he stayed with the groom throughout the marriage ceremony and bore the entire expense of the marriage. This is explained in the Adi Khanda, chapter 15, verses 69, 71, 137, 145, and 220. His participation in the Lord's Sankirtan at the houses of Srivas Pandit and Chandrasekhar is described in the Madhya Khanda, chapter 8, verses 111 till 113. His participation in water sports with the Lord and his associates after the deliverance of Jagai and Madai is described in Madhya Khanda, chapter 13, text 334 till 336. He is receiving the responsibility of arranging clothing and ornaments for the Lord when he enacted the pastimes of Mahalakshmi at the house of Chandrasekhar is described in the Madhya Khanda, chapter 18, verse 7, 13, 14, and 16. His meeting with the Lord at Shantipur is described in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya-lila, chapter 3, text 154. His traveling with the devotees of Bengal to meet the Lord in Puri is described in the Antya Khanda, chapter 8, verse 30. Throughout his life, his only asset was the Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya-lila, chapter 10, verses 10 and 121. The word bhara means responsibility or heaviness. The word lage means requirement or need. Text 70. Mukunda Sanjaya bole shuna sakha bhai, tumara sakala bhara mora kichu nai. Mukunda Sanjay then said, listen, my dear friend, if you bear all expenses, then what will I do? Text 71. Buddhi manta khana bale shuna sakha bhai, Vamaina saje vivae kichunai. Buddhimanta Khan replied, listen, my dear brother, this marriage will not be like a Brahmana's marriage, which is generally very simple. Commentary. The phrase Vamaina Sajja refers to poor Brahmana's marriage, which is an ordinary arrangement without luxury or pomp, small and suitable for the poor. The word kichunai means there will be nothing, not even a hint or scent. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yes. Thank you all dear devotees for very kindly joining. They say this is the very famous section of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu getting married to Vishnupriya. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find Kaviraj Goswami very beautifully describes the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Charit Amrit Tera Sindhu Karna Mana Tripta Kare Jare Kabindhu. Chaitanya Charit Amritera Sindhu. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How are they? Amritera Sindhu. They are an ocean, but they are not a salty ocean like the oceans of this world. Amritera Sindhu. They are an ocean which is very, very sweet. And when we take one drop from this ocean, not even the whole ocean, just one drop, what happens? Karna mana tripta kare jare kabindu. The ears are happy, the mind is happy, and the heart is happy. Just by one drop. We don't even have to take the whole ocean. One drop is enough to inundate everyone of this world with Krishna Prema. That is why Srila Saraswati Thakur would say there are 4 books that all Gaudiya devotees should study in their life. 4 books. First, Krishna Bhajanamrit, the nectarian instructions of how to do bhajan of Krishna. Krishna Bhajanamrit. Second, Dashamula Tattva. Third, Prem Bhakti Chandrika of Narottam Das Thakur. And fourth, Chaitanya Bhagavata. Srila Saraswati Thakur would say every devotee of Gaudiya tradition in their life should make an endeavor to study these books. What are these 4 books? First, Krishna Bhajanamrit. Second, Dashamula Tattva. Third, Prem Bhakti Chandrika. And fourth, the one that we are reading is Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata. In fact, Saraswati Thakur would even say that one should make an endeavor to read Chaitanya Bhagavata 108 times in their life. 108 times. Likewise, he would mention that even the pastime of Prahlad Maharaj, the pastime of Dhruva Maharaj, these all should be read at least 108 times. Because we find Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would read the pastimes of Prahlad and Dhruva 108 times. Of course, Mahaprabhu cannot read his own pastimes, but Saraswati Thakur would make an addition that along with Prahlad and Dhruva, one should also read the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, primarily Chaitanya Bhagavata 108 times. And of course, devotees of ISKCON, we can just extend this understanding, and this holds true even for the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, not just Sri Chaitanya Bhagavata, but all the books of Prabhupada that Prabhupada has given, as much times as possible, we have to keep reading them again and again. So we find that there is a very beautiful Puranic story of the life of Kalidas. Very interesting. Of course, we can just take the essence, not in the literal sense, but we can just take the essence from this story. One time, one sadhu, he came to the province of a king. And he came to the king and he challenged the king by keeping a skull in front of the king. The person is dead. He just kept a skull. And he kept the skull in front of the king and challenged the king that, my dear king, I have a challenge. You please tell me whether this person who was earlier living, whether he is intelligent, whether he was intelligent, or whether he was very foolish, very dumb. Now, how do you figure out the person is already dead? All that you have is a skull. How do you figure out from the skull whether a person is intelligent? So the king called all his ministers. They all came and they saw the skull. They took the skull, they looked here and there, and how do you figure out this? There's no way you can figure out whether a person is intelligent or not after the person has died. So they tried everything possible. They gave their own commentary and their own purports, but nothing had a lasting impact and nothing made sense. So finally, this sadhu was there. He told the king that seems like none of your ministers are proficient enough. None of them are intelligent. So I'm taking the skull back. I'm taking it back. So king said, yeah, okay. And then while he was taking back, at that time, Kalidas entered the kingdom. So the king said, wait. Kalidas is here. Give him one chance. All of you all have seen. Let him also take one chance. So the sadhu said, okay. And he kept the skull back. Now Kalidas came and he looked at the skull and he understood the challenge. Now he was pretty intelligent. So he took a straw and put it in the ear of the skull. And as he put it in the ear of the skull, the straw naturally came from the other side. So he said, confirm, this person was foolish. The king said, so fast you've analyzed? All of them took such a long time. You have given your purport so fast? He said, yes, this person was foolish. He said, how? How? I don't understand. And Kalidas explained by saying that when I put the straw in his ear, the straw naturally came from the other side. If he was intelligent, then whatever he heard, whatever instructions, whatever katha he heard, it would have not just been in the ear, but from that ear, it would have gone through the heart. But a classic example of someone who's foolish is, ek kaan se sunenge, dusre kaan se nikal jayega. So this person would have been foolish because I put a straw and it's coming from out. What do we understand, dear devotees? The teaching for us is an intelligent person is someone who doesn't just stop by hearing katha. He will put that to practice. When he hears a katha, he will put that to practice. That is perfection. One devotee here was telling me, he stays here in Seattle, and he was Srila Radhanath Maharaj's personal driver for many, many years. Personal driver of Srila Radhanath Maharaj and personal driver of His Grace Gauranga Prabhu. Back in the day, in the late 90s, when Gopinath was coming up, Maharaj had two drivers. So they would only take Maharaj to all the places. And Maharaj gave them interesting name. For one devotee, he gave the name Garuda. And for the next devotee, he gave the name Daruka. Because both carry the Supreme Lord. So both of them would serve the Lord. And both of them would serve Maharaj. So here the devotee who's staying here in Seattle, his name is Garuda Prabhu. And he was telling me that I was asking him about his interactions with Maharaj. So he said that one time in 99 or maybe early 2000, a program was done and Maharaj came and sat in the car. And never would Garuda Prabhu start a conversation with Maharaj because he would feel that Maharaj is busy. So I should not interfere. If he wants to ask, he will ask me. My job is a driver. I have to drive him wherever he wants. If he wants to speak, he will speak. He was explaining that in all the journeys, Maharaj would always read. Wherever Maharaj went, Maharaj would take a book and he would read for hours and hours together without speaking. So this one time when the program was done, Maharaj came in the car and he looked at Garuda and said, Garuda, wasn't that a good program? And then Garuda Prabhu said, yes, Maharaj, it was a wonderful program. And then Hare Krishna. if we can possibly mute the mics, dear devotees. Hare Krishna. So Maharaj asked Garuda that, Garuda, wasn't it a good program? And then Garuda Prabhu said, yes, Maharaj, it was a wonderful program. And then Maharaj said, did you like the class? And he said, yes, Maharaj, I loved the class. Fantastic class. And then Maharaj threw the bomb. Maharaj said, what did you like about the class? And this was something he didn't expect. Because most times you see, we go out and say it was fantastic class, wonderful class. What do you liked about the class? People don't remember. So then, Garuda Prabhu was kind of, Maharaj, it was nice class, Maharaj. The way you started, the verses that you quoted, he was kind of beating around the bush. And Maharaj understood. And he said that Maharaj in his typical way, like moving his shoulders, Maharaj started laughing and he said, okay, no problem. So Maharaj has the typical way of smiling and laughing. So he was telling me after that, when I was thinking, this thought came to my mind that when we hear Katha, that every single point that we hear, we should make sure that we put it into heart and not just stop at by saying that the Katha was nice, but what in that Katha, if someone asks, we should be able to understand. So that should be the level of concentration that we give when we hear. So here in this section, we find the point of the marriage of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Nimai. Nimai in this case with Vishnupriya has been explained. The Shastra explains that there are 8 types of marriage. My worshipable spiritual master Sri Srimachala Radha Govinda Maharaj, when he was explaining the pastime of Rukmini and Krishna, he was explaining that Shastra explains there are 8 types of marriage. Of course, we will not get into all of them, but we will just see the ones that are relevant in our normal dealings. Maharaj was explaining the first type of marriage and the first class type of marriage the Shastra explains is called as Daiva Viva. Daiva Viva. Now, Daiva Viva is the best form of marriage that the demigods perform. In this marriage, the parents, the mother and father of the girl, they find the boy. So it's basically like the parents finding. It's an arranged marriage. So the parents of the girl, they find the perfect vara. They find the perfect boy and they give the hand of the girl to the boy. Shastra explains this is the perfect form of marriage, the highest, where the parents find. So nothing but an arranged marriage. Daiva Viva. In fact, these things are there in Shastra. It's just that now the English terms have been given, but Shastra explains arranged marriage and so many others. So this is first, Daiva Viva. Second type of marriage is called as Gandharva Viva. Naturally, Daiva Viva is one that demigods perform. Gandharva Viva is the one that the Gandharvas perform. Now, Gandharva Viva in basic language is nothing but a love marriage, where the boy and girl see each other, they find their relationship perfect, and then they give it a yes, and then they go ahead. So it's nothing but a love marriage. And in Shastra, we find there are examples of Gandharva Viva where the boy and the girl have liked each other and they've taken it ahead. We find the example of Maharaj Dushyanta gets married to Shakuntala. Even though the king was a Kshatriya, he was coming from the Kshatriya background, Shastra explains that his heart got attracted to Shakuntala. And now Shakuntala was living in the place of the Brahmanas. She was living in the residence of a Brahmana. So now he was thinking to himself that a Kshatriya's mind will never get attracted to a Brahmana. His mind will never get attracted to a Brahmana. So even though she is living in the residence of a Brahmana, it's very much possible that she's actually a Kshatriya. So his heart got attracted. And eventually the heart of Shakuntala also got attracted. Nothing but a love marriage. And eventually, as more analysis was done, the king realized that Shakuntala is not a Kshatriya, but she is the daughter of Vishwamitra Muni. But nonetheless, the marriage still went ahead. So this is an example that Shastra explains of Gandharva Viva, of nothing but a love marriage. So the first one was Daiva Viva, where the parents select. Second is Gandharva Viva, where the boy and the girl select each other, love marriage. And the third type of Viva is Rakshas Viva, the one that the Rakshasas do, that the demons do. Of course, not taking inspiration, but Rakshas Viva is that type of Viva where the boy ends up kidnapping the girl. Or if the girl is very powerful and very courageous and very extrovert, then she goes and kidnaps the boy. Of course, in most cases, it's the other way around, where the boy goes and kidnaps. So that is Rakshas Vivah. And of course, we don't have to take inspiration, but that is also one form of marriage. My spiritual master, when he was saying this, he was saying that many years back, there was a young boy who happened to fall in love with a girl. And then while the parents of the girl were not there, he called the police along with him. So he had some connection with the police. So he got the police and made sure that the girl packs her bag. And even before the parents of the girl came, along with the girl, he left. So now the parents of the girl were very upset and very distressed. And they couldn't even go to the local police because the local police was hand in glove with that boy. So they couldn't do anything. And then eventually, somehow the boy and girl got some intelligence and they came to Srila Guru Maharaj after a few years. And they told him that this is how we got married. And Srila Guru Maharaj said, yes, this is a Rakshas Vivah. Now that you have done it, you cannot do anything. But you have got married, but make sure that you don't separate. In Vivaha, there should be Nirvaha. Nirvaha means maintenance. You don't separate. In Vivaha, Guru Maharaj said, in Vivaha, there should be Nirvaha. When two people come together, doesn't matter whether it is Daiva Vivaha, Gandharva Vivaha, or Rakshas Vivaha. There should be Nirvaha. There should be maintenance. There should be nourishment. When two people come together, it's a commitment for lifetime. Of course, in the present day, we live in a present day world where with every fight, there is a divorce. I remember when I was in New Jersey, there was a Walmart close to me. For those devotees in India, Walmart is one of the shopping place where you can go to shop. So near that Walmart, there would be a big billboard. And it was such a strange billboard that probably I had never seen anything like that back in India. That billboard read, looking for divorce, ? Call this number at only $300. And I was amazed. Like, you don't find that in India, like a billboard where it's promoting divorce. It said, looking for divorce, like call so-and-so number at only $300. I was like, wow, $300 in divorce. And it's literally being promoted. In an age where Shastra promotes that you should not get divorced, we're sadly living in a place where you have billboards like this. And I think not just New Jersey, many other places. I've seen it here also in Seattle. But our Gaudiya Sampradaya and our Shastra, our Vedic tradition is, when two people come together, there should be Nirvaha. There should be Nirvaha. There should be maintenance of each other. So now, dear devotees, we mentioned 3 types of marriages: Daiva Vivaha, Gandharva Vivaha, and Rakshas Vivaha. Now, I want someone to unmute and give me an example of Daiva Vivaha and an example of Rakshas Vivaha. Because Gandharva Vivaha I already mentioned. Please unmute and give me an example of Daiva Vivaha from the Shastra and Rakshas Vivaha from the Shastra.
Nimais was Daiva Vivaha and Krishna was Rakshasa Vivaha.
Yes. As Preeti Vilasini Mataji mentioned, that Rakshas Vivaha is Krishna getting married to Rukmini. Our Shyam Sundar almost became like a Rakshas. He went around kidnapping Rukmini. And of course, that's what she wanted. So that's a Rakshas Vivaha. And Daiva Vivaha, you have, of course, Sita and Ram. But in this case, we have our Nimai getting married to Vishnupriya, which is an example of Daiva Vivaha. Why? Because for Nimai, it is the mother, Sachi Mata, who is finding Vishnupriya. And for Vishnupriya, it is Sanatan Mishra. So this is a classic example of a Daiva Vivaha, perfect form of marriage. So when the Lord comes down, he teaches by example. Bhagavan Vivaha bhi karte ekdam sahi tarike se karte hain. Of course, Krishna is in a league of his own. Krishna does things which cannot be copied. He will lift Giriraj, he will dance on the hoods of Kaliya, he will swallow forest fire. We cannot copy Krishna. But Sri Ram and here Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are very beautifully teaching that the ideal form of marriage is when the parents find. That is perfect, first class. And very interestingly, dear devotees, we find here, as our acharyas explain, Shri Chaitanya jive daya kore, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu jive daya kore, Swaparshada Sweya Dhama Saha Avatari. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu jive daya kore. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's jive daya kore. And Swaparshada Sweya Dhama Saha Avatari. When he comes down Saha Avatari along with his associates. So when Krishna is there in Dwapar Yuga, he decides to come down in Kali Yuga. He comes as Shachinandan Gaurahari. He comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Similarly, in the Shamantak Mani pastime, we have a personality by the name Satrajit. That Satrajit, Gaur Ganadesha Deepika explains, comes down as Sanatan Mishra. And who is Satrajit's daughter? Satyabhama. So naturally there, Satrajit's daughter is Satyabhama, who gets married to Krishna. That Satrajit comes down as Sanatan Mishra, whose daughter is Vishnupriya, and who gets married to Nimai. So who says Gaur Leela and Krishna Leela are different? It is the same personalities coming down to perform pastimes in a little different way, but it's the same personality. But here, one thing that has to be noted is, yes, Krishna comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Satrajit comes down as Sanatan Mishra, but Satyabhama is Radharani, is Ladhini Shakti. But Vishnupriya is Bhu Shakti. Vishnupriya is Bhu Shakti, that is the incarnation of, like the mother of the universe, Bhu Shakti. But again, nonetheless, if we take the essence, it's pretty much the same, that she is the consort of the Supreme Lord, just like she was the consort in Dwapar Yuga, while she was Satyabhama. So we see beautiful parallels. Swaparshada Swiya Dhama Saha Avatari. When he comes down, his same associates come and have a fixed role, but little here and there keeps changing. Krishna performs these pastimes, but in every yuga, some slight difference is there. Like, for example, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Sarartha Darshini explains that in this kalpa, Krishna chastised Kaliya. Krishna told Kaliya, get out from Vrindavan. But in some other kalpa, Krishna doesn't chastise Kaliya, but keeps Kaliya as his pet. Very big pet. Nowadays, we find people have a dog or a puppy, but Krishna's pet is such that more than 100 hoods, and that too a snake. And how does he use this pet? Vishwanath Chakravarti explains that in this kalpa, Akrura came to take Krishna and Balaram out. But in some other kalpa, Krishna sits on the back of Kaliya and goes to Mathura to kill Kamsa. So every pastime, in every kalpa, Krishna adds some flavor. थोड़ा मिर्च मसाला डाल के भगवान थोड़ा अलग अलग तरीके से करते हैं. But the essence is same. The demon is killed or the demon is liberated, but some nuances are different. So here we see that the marriage of Nimai with Vishnupriya is Daiva Vivaha, while the marriage of Krishna and Rukmini, as text 59 explained, is nothing but an example of Rakshas Vivaha, Krishna and Rukmini. In the Shastras, it is explained. I'm almost feeling that it's like a Grahastha class. Every point that I'm making is more in line with Grahastha. In the Shastra, it is explained that it is Brahmaji who brings two people together. When two people come together, it is Brahmaji who has orchestrated. Of course, the astrologer sees the chart, and astrologer says that yes, all these qualities match. All these qualities between the boy and girl match, and yes, they can be together. The astrologer says it, but it is Brahmaji who has orchestrated it. When two people come together, it is Brahmaji who has planned it, no one else. So now, in the 9th canto, when Maharaj Raivat got to know about this, that, oh, if Brahmaji is planning, why do I have to go to any astrologer? Better I go straight to Brahmaji. My daughter Revati is there. Her marriage is to be done. Why should I go here and there? He is planning, right? सीधा उनके पास ही चले जाते हैं. Of course, we cannot do this, but somehow he had access. He could directly go and meet Brahmaji. So he thought, let me directly go and meet Brahmaji. Straight away, I will ask him. So now as he went, now of course we know this story, but I want to bring a point here that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes. When the the father of Revati, when he went to go and meet Brahmaji, at that time Brahma was busy. He was hearing to a musical concert. A musical concert was going on. Ha ha and hu hu, two Gandharvas. There are two Gandharvas in the upper planets, Ha ha and hu hu. Now these two Gandharvas were singing, and Brahmaji was relaxing. His musical concert was going on. So the king was waiting out. And now about 30-45 minutes passed. And then when Brahmaji attended to the king had a big list of different boys that he had thought are suitable. Now, as he showed the list, cutting the long story short, as he showed the list, Brahmaji said that, well, these personalities have gone. Satya is gone. Treta is gone. Now mid-Dwapar is going on. Krishna is there in Dwaraka. And then we see he directs Revati to Balaramji. Revati gets married to Balaram. Now, dear devotees, Vishwanath Chakravarti is asking a very classic logical question. If Brahma was busy, Satya, Treta, and mid of Dwapar, hearing to Ha Ha and who is that Brahma along with Mother Cow who went to the Supreme Lord to beseech him to come down to this world? Brahma was busy, right? He was hearing to Ha Ha and who. So how did Brahma in between that find time to go with Mother Cow to the Supreme Lord and ask him to come down? It's a logical question. So Vishwanath Chakravarti is asking the question and he only answers this question. Now he brings the point of two Brahmas. The reason we are bringing this point is we said Brahmaji orchestrates marriage. Now he brings the point of two Brahmajis. The Brahma that the king along with Revati went is the Brahma in Satyalok. Is the Brahma in Satyalok who was hearing to Ha Ha and hu. While the Brahmaji who along with Mother Cow who's sitting, and the Mother Cow who approached that Brahmaji is the Brahmaji who lives in Mount Sumeru. Two different places, two different Brahmajis. So the Brahma who went to Vishnu along with Mother Cow is the Brahmaji who lives in Mount Sumeru. While Revati's father went to the Brahma who lives in Satyalok. And it is the Brahma of Satyalok who directed Revati to get married to Balaram. So concept of two Brahmajis. So the point I'm saying is Brahmaji is the personality who orchestrates two people coming together. Two people getting married, it is Brahmaji's planning. It is his plan. One time Prabhupada was there in a morning walk. And Swarup Damodar Brahmachari, later Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, they were there in a morning walk. The famous Life Comes From Life, 1974 morning walks that they had in Venice Beach. So Prabhupada was there in a morning walk and Prabhupada looked at Swarup Damodar Brahmachari and asked that, Swarup Damodar, what have you thought about marriage? What have you thought about marriage? There are so many girls here who are my disciples. If you want, I can arrange your marriage and I can get you married. So Maharaj, when he heard that, he said, Prabhupada, I need some time to think. Prabhupada said, yes, take your time. And then Maharaj never brought this topic again. So Prabhupada, after a few days, again remembered. So he again brought. So Swarup Damodar, what have you thought about marriage? In typical Prabhupada style. So when Swarup Damodar Brahmachari heard, he told Prabhupada that, Prabhupada, it is my desire that I remain a celibate. I want to serve you the way I am right now. I don't want to get, quote unquote, entangled in this world, but in this Brahmachari that I am, I want to serve you 100%. And when Prabhupada heard it, Prabhupada was very happy. Prabhupada said, good, be like this. We see even for Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, in the last days when Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj was serving, in fact, in the last days we find it was Srila Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj. All were serving during the last days. Because there are recordings of Prabhupada speaking to Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj during the last days, 1977. In Bengali. So these three stalwart personalities were serving. And during that time, we find even for Srila Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj, Prabhupada told him that so many lifetimes you have given for so many people. This one life, just give it to Krishna. Just this one life, give it to Krishna 100%. And that's it. You will, if you give one life to Krishna 100%, then Krishna is waiting to embrace you in Golok Dham. Just give this one life. And what did Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj do? He lived by that instruction. Even after Prabhupada departed, he lived by that instruction, remaining a nice Naishtika brahmachari. And dear devotees, what impact did Bhakti Charu Maharaj have in our ISKCON? What impact? No one popularized the singing of Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam, the prayers of the Gopi Geet, like that of Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj. In our ISKCON movement, if someone popularized Tava Kathamritam, it is Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj, period. He made it like a national anthem in ISKCON. All glories to his purity. To glorify and to spread Harinam is one. To glorify and to spread the song of the gopis on the banks of Jamuna on the night of Sharadiya Ras Purnima in separation, one has to be very, very exalted. And this can only be done by someone who is 100% Guru Nisht, 100% surrender to the lotus feet of Guru. So one of the instructions, of course, Prabhupada gave various instructions to various disciples, but to Srila Bhakti Charu Maharaj, one of the instructions that he gave was, just remain the way you are. Just give this one life to Krishna. And Maharaj did that. So we find in the league of Prabhupada disciples that they were ready to give up every single thing, including the desire for companionship. They were ready to give up everything just to be around Prabhupada and serve him 100%. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was a very good astrologer, very good at seeing palm. So the brahmacharis, when they would see Saraswati Thakur, they would keep their hand behind. Because Saraswati Thakur would have a habit, when he would see the brahmacharis, he would forcefully take the hand and he would see the hand and he would say, Chal beta, shadi kar le. It's time for you to get married. Go get married. So they would fear Saraswati Thakur. So when Saraswati Thakur would come down, they would keep their hand behind. One time Saraswati Thakur was going on a train journey. He was going on a train journey from Jagannath Puri to Mayapur. So when they sat on the train, they all got their places, they sat. And you see in train, you have the side berth. You have the side berth. So one brahmachari was sitting in the side berth. And as the train was going, at one point, he just rested back towards the window and he rested. So Saraswati Thakur looked at him and said, Chal beta, shadi kar le. Time to get married. So he was confused. He said, why? Guru Maharaj, why? What did I do? And Srila Saraswati Thakur said, seems like you need some support in your life. You're taking support, right? Seems like you need some support in your life. Get married. Chal beta, shadi kar le. So when he said that, all the disciples of Saraswati Thakur sat straight in the train journey. No one was taking support. Srila Saraswati Thakur was very strict and hilarious in his own way. But we find this very interesting point that so many of Prabhupada's disciples and so many of Srila Saraswati Thakur disciples gave their life 100% celibacy to serve their Guru Maharaj, to serve their spiritual master. We say that in Krishna Leela, when the Braja Gopis, when they were enamored by Krishna's beauty, how beautiful is Krishna? Sunasikagra Moktikam Swachanda Danta Panktikam Navambudanga Shekanam Namami Nandanandanam Karena Venu Ranjitam Gate Karendra Ganjitam Dukula Pita Shobhanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam Namami Nandanandanam. Srila Rupa Goswami has given this most brilliant, amazing work glorifying Nandanandan Shri Krishna. These ashtakams, these verses are meant to be by-hearted, dear devotees. If not by-hearted, at least to be read as frequent as possible. They're so sweet. What is Rupa Goswami saying? Sunasikagra Mauktikam. Krishna has a nose ring. But not a nose ring here. Most often we find girls have a nose ring here. Of course, we are living in a generation where boys also nowadays wear nose ring. You come to America, they will have nose ring here, in the ear. The hair will be like big like the girls. It's sometimes it's so difficult that you fail to realize whether the person is a boy or a girl. No, it's real identity crisis, gender crisis. So Krishna also wears a nose ring, but he doesn't wear a nose ring here. Sunasikagra Mauktikam, Krishna wears a nose ring here. Look at Rupa Goswami's brilliance. Like, he just doesn't give the details, but in depth. Swachanda Danta Panktikam, and his teeth are described. How are they? They are perfect. Krishna's teeth is perfect. Krishna has such small, chotu baby milk teeth that many times when Krishna would be small, Maya would just walk around and she would say, Krishna, can you open your mouth? And Krishna would open, and Maya would look and she would count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and Krishna would have baby milk teeth. And Maya would be very, very happy just seeing that. Sunasikagra Mauktikam Swachanda Danta Panktikam Navam Budanga Chikanam. And what is the complexion? Navam Budanga Chikanam. His complexion is like that of a cloud, but not a normal cloud. Nava, freshly formed monsoon cloud. That freshly formed monsoon cloud which has water, not that which has already showered its water, showered its rain. That which has all the water and is about to give it to this world. How bluish black will it be? That is the complexion of Krishna, Rupa Goswami explains. Navam Budanga Chikanam Namami Nandanandanam. To that Nandanandan Shri Krishna, I offer obeisances. So now the gopis of Vrindavan were seeing this form of Krishna every single day. And when you see this form of Krishna, how can you get attracted to any other form? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Bandhu sange jodi tava ranga parihas thake abhilas mathuraya keshe tirtha ranga parihas bandhu sange jodi tava ranga parihas. He says, O Bandhu, O friend, Ranga Parihas, if you want to live happily in this world by chit-chatting with your friends, joking with your friends, gossiping with your friends, then I have an instruction for you. What is that instruction? Please don't go to the banks of Keshi Ghat and see the Tribhang Lalit Sham Sundar form of Krishna. If you want to be happy in this world, if you want to cut jokes, and if you want to talk about things of this world, be happy with your friends, then be that way. Because I fear if you see that form of Krishna, you will lose attachment for everything. It's basically sarcasm that he's using. He's saying, oh fool, leave everything and run to Vrindavan. Go and meet the form of Shyamasundar Shri Krishna. Leave everything of this world and go and meet Shyamasundar. And now the Brajavasis, the gopis, were seeing this form of Krishna every single day. And naturally now they had this desire that Krishna should be their husband, that they should get married to Krishna. Now, when Purnamasi Devi got to know this, Purnamasi Devi and Brinda Devi are the two orchestrators, Braj Planning Commission. All the pastimes that take place in Braj, it is these two personalities, Purnamasi Devi, Brinda Devi. Who's Purnamasi Devi? The grandmother of Madhumangal. The grandmother of Madhumangal is Purnamasi. She always dressed in white. And Brinda Devi, of course. Gangeya champe yatadit vinindi roche pravaha snapitatma vrinde bandhu ka bandhu dviti devyavaso vrinde namaste charana ravindam bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay kshiptascha kama dhitaranga madhye kripamayi tvam sharanam prapanna Vrinde namaste charana ravindam. What is Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explaining? Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay. Bhaktya vihina, I don't have any bhakti. Aparada lakshay, my aparad, if I start counting them, it can span to weeks and months and years and lifetimes together. Itana aparad kiye hain. Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay, and kshiptascha kama dhitaranga madhye. Taranga means waves. My dear Lord, my dear Binda Devi, I am being tossed in the waves of kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mad, matsarya, anger, pride, greed, envy, jealousy. I am just being tossed in these waves and I have no control. These waves are simply slapping me left, right, and center, and from one place to another place, I'm just being tossed. On top of that, there is no bhakti. On top of that, anarthas have piled up like a Govardhan mountain. It's piled up so much. Kripamayi tvam sharanam prapanna. My dear Vrinda Devi, Kripamayi tvam sharanam prapanna. I am coming to you and begging, please shower your mercy. I don't have anyone apart from you. I don't have anyone apart from you. I know you are Krishna Jivani. You are the life of Krishna and I want Krishna. And if there is anyone who can give me Krishna, it is you. My dear Brinde, I am falling at your feet. Vrinde namaste charana ravindam. Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains. So Vrinda Devi and Purnamasi Devi. They are the most important personalities. If we want entrance to Vrindavan, Golok Dham, we need the recommendation, letter of recommendation. You see, for initiation, we have letter of recommendation. So for Braj, we need letter of recommendation of Purnamasi Devi and Vrinda Devi. And of course, Radharani is always there. She's Vrindavaneshwari. So now when the gopis wanted to get married to Krishna, Purnamasi thought to herself, if they get married to Krishna, then Vrindavan will have Swakiya Ras. Vrindavan will not have Parakya Ras. But we want Parakya Ras in Braj, because if Vrindavan also has Swakiya Ras, what's the difference between Braj and Dwaraka? Anyway, in Dwaraka, Krishna will have Swakiya Ras. So there has to be some flavor here. There has to be Parakya Ras. So Purnamasi Devi calls Gargacharya. Gargacharya comes. And when he offers obeisances to Purnamasi Devi says, my dear Gargacharya, this is the situation. If all of them get married to Sri Krishna, to Shyamasundar, then it will be Swakiya Ras. But we want to make sure there's Parakya Ras. So you do whatever it takes. I am giving you the problem. You bring the solution. You do whatever it takes, but make sure that Braj has Parakya Ras in it. So Gargacharya says, okay. Now the Vrajavasis have a lot of trust for Gargacharya, because he is the personality who named Krishna and Balaram. I am here Rohini Putro Ramayan Surida Gunai Tasyarte Bala iti Bala Dikhyam Balam Vidhu Yadunam Apritak Bhavat Sankarshanam Ushantapi. When Gargacharya had the two children in his lap, this is the verse Shukadev Goswami says. He quoted, I am here Rohini Putro. Oh, who is he? He is the son of Rohini. I am here Rohini Putro. And then, of course, he is Yashodanandan and Rohini Nandan. So Brajavasis had a lot of trust in Gargacharya. So Gargacharya, he went to the house, to the first gopi, and he knocked. When he knocked, the parents opened. And they welcomed Gargacharya, big personality. We have Garga Samhita in his name, big personality. So when they welcomed him, Gargacharya started a conversation and he said, oh, seems like your daughter is getting married. And the parents said, yes, daughter is getting married, big festival, getting married to Krishna. And Gargacharya said, Acha, if you don't mind, can I see the chart? Because he was an astrologer also. So when the chart was given, he saw, and now he has to break the marriage. Now he has to break the marriage. So he saw the chart and said, oh, I'm very sad to say, if this marriage goes ahead, then Krishna's life is at stake. It's possible that something may happen to Krishna. And this marriage may, even before it starts, it may end. So when the parents heard this, the parents were surprised. Achha, remaining astrologers, they said it's a perfect match. Gargacharya said, no, I'm seeing, maybe they made a mistake. I'm seeing in front of my eyes, it's not a good match. So Gargacharya, when he said this, parents said, then what is the solution? What are we supposed to do? Gargacharya said, maybe not Krishna, but this boy is good for you. He is also in Braj, and this boy is good for you. So maybe you can get this boy married to your daughter. And no one doubts, because he is Gargacharya. And believe me or not, dear devotees, Gargacharya went house to house, house to house, house to house, and transcendentally broke all the marriage of the gopis with Krishna. Why? So that Parakheras is maintained. All glories to Purnamasi and Vrinda Devi. So we find that these gopis wanted to be married to Krishna, but eventually get married to someone else. They enter Grahastha ashram, but when Krishna plays the flute, they leave everything and run towards Krishna. Ami Jamuna Puline Kadamba Kanane Kiheri no Sakhiyaja Amar Shama Vamshidhari Mani Mancha Pare Kare Lila Rasaraja Ami Jamuna Puline Kadamba Kanane Kiheri no Sakhiyaja. Oh Sakhi, two Sakhis are talking. Oh Sakhi, Kiheri no Sakhiyaja. My dear Sakhi, please come. Look what I have seen. Another Sakhi is saying, Acha, what did you see? Ami Jamuna Puline Kadamba Kanane. On the banks of Jamuna, near Kadamba, my dear Sakhi, look what I saw. What did she see? Amar Shama Vamshidhari. Not Shama Vamshidhari. Amar Shama Vamshidhari. My Sham Sundar. He's holding Vamshi, the big flute. Mani Manchapare. And he's nicely sitting on a bedecked throne of jewels. Kare Lila Rasaraja. And he's performing sweet pastimes. He's a Rasaraj. He's the king of Rasa. The king of Rasa is sitting on a golden jewel throne with flute in his hand. And who is he? Amar Shama Vamshidhari. He is my Shama Sundar, O Sakhi. Ami ghare na jaibo, vane praveshibo. Say, my dear Sakhi, Ami ghare na jaibo. I will not go home. Vane praveshibo. I will go to the forest. Where is my husband? In the house. Who is there in the forest? Shyamsundar. House, Swakiya. Forest, Parakhiya. Ami ghare na jaibo, vane praveshibo. I will want to go in the forest. I don't want to go to the house. Then what is Bhaktivinoda Thakur praying? He's praying the same thing. Ami tyaja kula laja, bhaja vraja raja, vinoda minati kari. Amityaja Kula Raja. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, I will forget all Kula Raj. I will all embarrassment, all shyness. I will forget everything. Who cares when Shama Sundar is there? And what will I do? Amityaja Kula Raja, Bhaja Vraja Raja. And I will worship Vraja Raj, the king of Vraja. Vinoda Minati Kari. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying. This is our Gaudiya mode, dear devotees. This is our Gaudiya mode. Bhaktivinoda Thakur's songs are classified in different levels. You have songs that are Dushtaman Tumi Kisira Vaishnav, where there is chastisement of the mind. Bhuliya Tumare Samsare Achiya. That, my dear Lord, I forgot you. Then you have songs like Gopinath, Mamani Vedana Shunu, begging the Lord that, my dear Lord, please hear. And then you have songs like this that talk about the spiritual world. So three classifications are there. One is where he condemns himself. Dushtaman Tumi Kisira Vaishnav. Second, Gopinath, Nivedana Shunu. Please hear, my dear Lord. And third, speaking about the spiritual world. So, of course, the next time we go to Loi Bazaar in Vrindavan, we can get a copy of Kalyana Kalpataru, the book of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and it has all the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur at one place. Of course, this is for personal swadhyay, personal bhajan. So we find similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is showing the same mood. Ami ghare na jaibo, vane praveshibo. He gets married to Vishnupriya, yes. But at one point, he decides to leave everything like the Braja Gopis. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, dear devotees, is coming down to taste the mood of Radharani. And to taste the mood of Radharani, he has to go through the events that Radharani went through. And Radharani went through an event of getting married, quote unquote, to Abhimanyu. And then she leaves everything and comes to Shyamasundar Shri Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to experience that, also has to get married. Otherwise, how is he experiencing Radha Bhav? He has to go through Grahastha life. He has to get married to Lakshmipriya and Vishnupriya. But then eventually when the love peaks, when the volcano of prema erupts, golden volcano. Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhara Maharaj has written a very beautiful book, Golden Volcano. Worth reading. Prabhupada's dear God brother. Very dear God brother. Golden volcano. When this golden volcano erupts, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decides to leave the home and he decides to go to Jagannath Puri. Why? To see Krishna. So this episode we find of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu getting married to Vishnupriya is very, very significant, because what Vishnupriya went through, she was only 14. She was only 14 when she got married. And Mahaprabhu hardly stayed with her. Hardly stayed with her. And throughout her life, she lived in separation. Throughout her life, she served in separation. When the Govardhan Eco Village project was coming up, one devotee was telling this. When Govardhan Eco Village project was coming up, there's a pujari in Radha Gopinath Mandir called as Rup Raghunath Prabhu. With devotees may be known, a brahmachari. And he was the pujari of Gopinathji. So devotees called him to Eco Village to worship Radha Vrindavan Bihari. So he said, no, Gopinath is everything for me. I've been worshipping him for such a long time. You find someone else. I don't want to leave Gopinath. And they asked him repeatedly, but he didn't want to leave Gopinath. So then when Maharaj got to know, Maharaj intervened, and Maharaj went to Rup Raghunath Prabhu, Srila Radhanath Maharaj. He went to Rup Raghunath Prabhu and said, my dear Rup Raghunath, what is the highest teaching of Gaudiya Siddhanta? So he said, Maharaj, to serve in separation. So Maharaj said, good, live by it. Now that you said it, to serve in separation, good, live by it. Go to Eco Village and serve Radha Vrindavan Bihari. It's almost like Saraswati, Mother Saraswati sat on the tongue of Rup Raghunath Prabhu and made him speak this so that he can go and serve Radha Vrindavan Bihari. Now he has been serving Radha Vrindavan Bihari for such a long time in separation from Gopinath. But the devotee was explaining that all the preaching that has been done there, because the locals, the Palghar, that area is Palghar, and they don't know English. They cannot follow Maharaj's American English. Well, they don't even know English. They only know Marathi, and Rup Raghunath Prabhu is Marathi. So he preaches to them in Marathi. And now many of them have become the disciples of Srila Radhanath Maharaj. So it's almost like for the locals, Rup Raghunath Prabhu is the Radhanath Maharaj. He has preached so much. So serving in separation is the highest. Giving up our own personal desire to serve Guru Parampara. So we find so many in our tradition have done it, and primarily Vishnupriya. She lived the life in separation. She served Mahaprabhu in separation. Dhameshwar Mahaprabhu, the deity that she worshipped, is known for this. All her life she lived in separation. The glories of Vishnupriya will be eternally sung. Eternally she will be glorified in the pages of Chaitanya Bhagavata, in the pages of all the Shastra. Living a life of separation is never easy. Never easy. And Vishnupriya Devi did that for Lord Chaitanya. Dear devotees, I just want to end this discussion by saying, we are talking about marriage, and there is a saying in Sanskrit, Madhurena Samapayat. We end with the sweet. And one of the biggest sweets, at least personally for me, is the pastimes of Sripad Aindra Prabhu. I was reading recently, and so fascinating. Of course, those devotees don't have it. I really encourage. Aindra Prabhu's new book is out, The Life of Aindra Prabhu, and it's a classic. It's a must read. It's a must read. It's a God intoxicating book. Something you cannot put down. Really, you cannot put down. How much ever atheist we are, we cannot put down. Guaranteed tears. How much ever hard-hearted we are, guaranteed tears. Of course, I shouldn't say this, but I'm just saying. His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu, before I went to Vrindavan, he was already there and he got a copy before me. So when he got a copy, the whole book is about 450 pages. He finished the whole book in 2 days. In 2 days, he just finished the whole book. He said, it was so intoxicating, I couldn't put it down. I really couldn't put it down. So I'm saying this. I know if Prabhuji hears this, he may not like it, but I am saying it just to illustrate the point that how sweet this book is. It is just no tattva, just pastimes and unlimited sweet rasa. Of course, this book is not available in America, but it's there in India. In Vrindavan and Loi Bazaar, it's there. And also our Krishna Balaram Mandir. So, very beautifully, I was reading one of the pastimes that in 1976, in Potomac Temple, in Washington, D.C. side, Potomac, the temple president who was there, he apparently, he resigned and a new temple president was coming up. And as a temple president resigned and the new phase was taking up, a new temple president was coming up, the new temple president put a rule that in order to make sure that the devotees who are there, they have good devotee relationships, good vyavhar, that there is no controversy or anything of that sort, proper vyavhar, proper relationship. He made a rule that all the residents should get married. No brahmacharis. Everyone should get married. Everyone should get married. No more brahmacharis, all grahasthas. And now this was the rule. So many said, okay, if temple president is making a rule, okay, let's get married. He came to Ayendra Prabhu. Now you can imagine what's coming up. He came to Ayendra Prabhu. He came to Ayendra Prabhu and said, Ayendra Prabhu, I think you need a wife. And Ayendra Prabhu said, look, Prabhu, I already had a wife. Because before joining Krishna consciousness, Ayendra Prabhu had a girlfriend. So many times he addresses as his wife. So he said, look, Prabhu, I already had a wife and I renounced her and embraced this life of renunciation. I gave up my musical profession. I gave up all the instruments. I gave up my family. I renounced all of them. I renounced my wife and I embraced this life of renunciation. So Prabhu, with all due respect, I cannot go there. So this temple president was again pushing. He said, no, you should get married. That is the temple rule. Look, everyone is getting married. So then Ayendra Prabhu said, look, I know where you're taking this conversation to. But let me tell you, I already have 11 wives. So this temple president was shocked. 11 wives? And you call yourself a brahmachari? Ayendra Prabhu said, yes, I have 11 wives in the form of 5 incoming and 5 outgoing senses. And they're led by the queen, that is the mind. So these 11 wives itself, I cannot manage. And now you're trying to bring a 12th wife. How can I manage her? 11 wives itself, I'm not able to manage. How should I manage the 12th wife? Now, this was a bouncer for the temple president. He couldn't understand this. So Ayendra Prabhu later said that, my dear Prabhu, please understand, I am not a grahastha material. So please back off. Please back off. I'm not a grahastha material. Don't push me towards this. So this went on. Ayendra Prabhu had this standoff with the temple president for a very long time. And both were not ready to give up. The temple president was pushing his point that you should get married, and Ayendra Prabhu said, nothing doing. I will not get married. Look at the determination, dear devotees, to stay a celibate. Like you have every opportunity. Most people will fall for it. Your parents are there somewhere. You are the only person, and it's not wrong. It's an ashram. It's not even wrong that you're doing. But look at the tivra ichha to remain a celibate and to serve Radharani and Krishna. So finally, when this tug of war went back and forth between Ayendra Prabhu and the temple president, Ayendra Prabhu said, look, you want me to be a grahastha, which I will not. And at the same time, you are asking me that if I have to stay here, I have to become a grahastha. Let me do one thing. For the interest of both of us, I will leave this place. But I will not get married. If I stay here, that's a problem, right? I will leave. Will that make you happy? The temple president said, okay. If you leave, then that's okay. And Ayendra Prabhu wrote a letter to Vishnujan Maharaj. That, my dear Vishnujan Maharaj, can I join your Radha Damodar bus party? Because Vishnujan Maharaj was having the Radha Damodar bus party, and which would go for hours and hours together. Harinam Sankirtan. And Harinam Sankirtan is the heartbeat of Ayendra Prabhu. It is like his companion. Ayendra Prabhu would say that, why are you looking for companion in this world? Your only companion should be Harinam. Harinam, Radhesham and Vrajdham should be your only companion, Ayendra Prabhu would say. Of course, that is his level of exalted nature. Harinam, Radhesham and Vrajdham. They are my companion and they should be your companion, he would say. So now when he wrote a letter to Vishnujan Maharaj to join the Radha Damodar bus party because he wanted to leave from the Potomac temple, the sad news came that Vishnujan Maharaj departed this world, 1976. Vishnujan Maharaj, as we know, left his body in the Triveni Sangam, Prayag. And when Ayendra Prabhu heard this, he was shattered. It was a big blow for him because for him, Vishnujan Maharaj was everything. Because Vishnujan Maharaj is that personality in our ISKCON movement who did hours and hours and hours of street Nam Sankirtan. The initial inspiration for all of Prabhupada disciples to chant Harinam was Vishnujan Maharaj. Amazing personality. Of course, we don't have time, but in some other discussion, we can speak about Vishnujan Maharaj. Adbhut Mahabhagavat. So Ayendra Prabhu's inspiration was Vishnujan Maharaj, and now that he departed, this was too much for him. He didn't know what to do. So Vishnujan Maharaj's Radha Damodar bus party was closed down. And now he had a tug of war, standoff with the temple president. And finally, at that time, Baltimore temple was also going through some problems. So Ayendra Prabhu decided to shift to Baltimore temples. And for 6 months, dear devotees, Ayendra Prabhu in Baltimore temple was the only resident devotee. For 6 months, he would wake up the deities, he would dress the deities, he would do Mangalarti, he would do all the artis, he would cook for them, Bal Bhog, Raj Bhog, this Bhog, that Bhog, throughout the day, with no sleep practically. And in between 5-7 minutes that he would have, he would take out the harmonium and he would practice new melodies. And the very first melody that Ayendra Prabhu learned to play was the Jai Radha Madhava. So Ayendra Prabhu in the later years would say, when I was in Baltimore, that's where I learned the harmonium. So his desire is so much that he had every opportunity to enter Grahastha Ashram, but decides to remain a celibate, a brahmachari, and then goes to Baltimore. For 6 months, serves the deities single-handedly in everything possible. And eventually he keeps shifting his base and goes to Kishori in Chicago, and then goes here and there, and finally packs up his bag and comes to Vrindavan to never go back. Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhamam paramamama. He comes to Vrindavan and never goes back. So we find, dear devotees, this love is what conquers Krishna. Pritirna yavat mai vasudeve, Bhagavatam describes. All that Krishna is looking out for is Priti. Pritirna yavat mai vasudeve. To please Krishna, one should have Priti. And in Kali Yuga, the best form of getting Priti, love for the Supreme Lord, there is one great upay, one big solution. That is Sri Nam Prabhu. If we see the lives of all devotees who got Krishna Prem, all of them had tremendous attachment to Krishna. Tremendous attachment to the chanting of the holy names. Look at the life of Vishnupriya. When she was separated from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she would chant all day long. All day long she would chant, and after a whole day she would set aside few grains, and those grains only she would have. Even Vishnupriya Devi was Namnishtha. Even she had attachment to the holy name. Without attachment to Nam, without surrendering to this principle of the Yuga Dharma, Harinam Sankirtan, Pritirna Yavat Mai Vasudeva, no one gets Priti. Nam Ashray Tumi Jatane Kare, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. That, my dear devotees, Nam Ashray Tumi. Please take Ashray, please take shelter of Shri Nam, because this Nam gives us Priti, gives us attachment to the Supreme Lord. So in the life of Vishnupriya, we see that she lived the life of separation. Yes, she got married, but eventually throughout the life, she lived the life of separation, but still got Priti, because there was tremendous attachment to Shri Harinam Prabhu. Having said this, I very humbly want to stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.